Most people run from danger. Others run right towards it, risking their lives for people that they've never met. For centuries, firefighters built a legacy on courage, sacrifice, and an unshakable sense of duty, passed down, preserved, and honored through proud traditions. But traditions don't survive on their own. They endure because people choose to protect those stories, remembering those moments to keep that history alive. Meet Dave Egler, Director of Operations for the Michigan Firehouse Museum, a historic firehouse in Ypsilanti where this legacy isn't just remembered, it's experienced. And I'm here to find out just how they do that. My name is Cliff Dubenois, and we are Total Michigan.
Michigan Firehouse Museum is a nonprofit charity. It's a museum that is designed to help celebrate the history of firefighting, not only across Michigan, but across the United States. We're located right here in Ypsilanti, right in Depot Town, historic area of Ypsilanti. We are attached to Ypsilanti's original old firehouse, and we really do try to do everything we can to tell the story about firefighting history for the state of Michigan.
It's one thing to preserve history. It's another to be personally connected to it. So how did this museum get started? And how did Dave get connected with it?
I grew up in northern Michigan. I grew up in the town of Leland, and I grew up in a family of volunteer firefighters. My grandfather was the fire chief. My dad was the assistant chief. So I grew up in kind of public service, kind of watching them, in awe of them, and that's what got me and my family, especially my brother, into collecting antique fire trucks, which got us into volunteering here at the museum, which got us into leadership roles here at the museum. And it started with my dad finding for sale at an antique store in the Upper Peninsula one of the first fire trucks that he actually learned on and drove as a firefighter. We got to talking about it. Eventually, I ended up buying that truck. My brother and I then bought two of the other trucks that Leland had. Its first 3 fire trucks total that the fire department had. And then our collection grew, and our interest in antique fire trucks got us involved in the museum. The genesis of the museum actually is that the founders of the museum, who were Norma and Howard Weaver. Norma Weaver's dad was an Ann Arbor firefighter who died in the line of duty back in 1961. And they were into collecting antique trucks, but they also started antique cars, and they also started collecting antique trucks, including antique fire trucks. And really, they thought about it at a certain point. They wanted to have a space where they could start to show off their antique fire trucks. That's what got them into purchasing the old firehouse to start the museum. That's what got them then into adding this whole addition on in order to be able to display their fire trucks. But mostly it's an honor of and to pay homage to her dad, who died in the line of duty. That building was built in 1898. In the period of 6 to 8 months, it went from an idea to actually a functioning station. And that building is probably at 128 years old, in better shape than this addition that we're standing in right now, which was built about 24 years ago.
What began as a way to honor the past has grown into something far more immersive. Because here, history isn't just displayed behind glass. It's brought to life in ways that most people would never expect.
Now, twice in the last 3 years, we've actually opened the old firehouse up and turned it back into a fire station for 3 days in each of those years. We moved 3 of our trucks out. City of Ypsilanti moved 3 of their trucks in. We moved more bunk beds into the bunkhouse. We opened up the fire pole, and the firefighters covered the city of Ypsilanti from the old firehouse for 3 shifts in a row, for 3 days in a row. And we did it just solely to help reenact history. Most of the firefighters used the pole. Some of them said, nope, I'm using the stairs. But they enjoy it.
I would have to use the pole.
They actually embrace it and enjoy it and help us with making, again, living history, if you will. Smoky Bear started in the 1940s. as a public safety or a public awareness campaign through the Wildfire Service or the U.S. Forestry Service, right? There's a lot of wildfires that were being started, and they're mostly through careless campers and careless ignitions of combustibles. And so they wanted to have a nationwide campaign that would start to bring awareness to the fires and the wildfires that were happening. So the U.S. U.S. Forestry Service reached out to Disney because the movie Bambi had just come out recently, and they reached out to Disney and said, "Can we borrow your characters to do this campaign to try to get people's awareness about, wildfires?" And Disney said yes. Disney allowed them to do it for 1 year, and then Disney drew up the caricature of Smoky Bear, and it's been the Smoky Bear campaign ever since. Now, people know it as Smoky the Bear, right?
Right. Yes.
And it's actually Smoky Bear.
Yep.
It's because we know it as Smoky the Bear because of the song that came out. When they crafted the song, they needed an extra syllable to help make the refrain come out okay. So they added the word "the," so it's Smoky the Bear in the song, but actually the campaign is Smoky Bear. So our main website is MichiganFirehouseMuseum.org. And you can find all of the information there. And then we're open on Thursday through Sunday, noon until 4. But we do make arrangements for groups and special group tours and schools and all of that as necessary. Almost all of our social media is tagged somehow with like Michigan Firehouse Museum, so that you can also see us through that.
For generations, firefighters have carried a legacy defined by courage, sacrifice, and service to others. At the Michigan Firehouse Museum, that legacy is preserved not just with equipment, but through stories and the people committed to keeping it alive. But this isn't just about looking back. It's about experiencing history in motion, where the past is still felt, heard, and even lived. Because when tradition is honored this well, it doesn't fade, it inspires. My name is Cliff Dubenois, and we are Total Michigan.